Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Shady Ho Show. My name is Valk. Duh. So, we are all three bitches, if you don't know, or if you are new to the podcast. The Shady Ho Show is three bitches shit talking life. If you are a returning listener, thank you for returning. You know what the deal is, you know how it goes. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce Grace.
I'm Grace, and I have a cold. Sorry if it's gross.
Gross.
Oh yeah, plug again to make sure you follow the Instagram at the Shady with 2Y Ho Show and our Facebook page at the Shady Ho Show. So you can, talk to us if you want to. Take it away, Amanda.
Today is my episode. Okay. And I literally am not happy about it. So I am not happy about it. I am Grumpy Cat. Today's episode is going to be your deepest, darkest fears. I feel like we're close enough to fucking spooky season that I can do this episode. I'm also mad because I can't see my forehead and pumpkin spice latte is still not out. People
Right?
are so pissed. Child, anyways. So yeah, that I thought of this topic like 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on air. So bear with me, children. Deepest darkest fears, and we're gonna play Would You Rather. We're gonna start this podcast off with a Would You Rather. So did you guys play Would You Rather when you were in like middle school, high school? Me and my friend used to play
God,
it
I
to go
love
to
that
school.
game.
I love
tried
it.
to stay away from it.
Why do you try to stay away from it?
I don't actually know. Maybe it's just because I tried to
Are you bad
keep
with
my
decisions?
just possibly I just tried to keep to myself.
Cancer vibes.
I just tried to keep to myself and didn't really
keep to yourself.
I didn't want to expose myself. Of course,
I was a theater kid, so we always had these games.
Yeah, I love exposing myself.
I was always picked on and made fun of, so I didn't want to give people more ammunition to throw at me.
Oh, that's fair. I was already fat and fucking weird. I was like, hit me with your best shot, bitches. Okay, so I guess I'll start it off with, and I guess we'll go around in a circle, kind of like Uno. I'll ask like Grace, it's would you rather, and then Grace, you can ask me or TJ a would you rather. So
Okay.
I'm gonna start off with Grace. Okay, Grace, would you rather have to go back to the first job you ever fucking worked at that pay rate, or would you rather work for minimum wage your whole life?
In that one, I would go back to the first job I ever had, because the first job I ever had that was paid was working with infants in a nursery. So, and I made only slightly more than minimum wage there, so I still would have gotten paid more. And between those two, it would definitely have been that one, because there's no way I would work anywhere for minimum wage and not murder somebody, unless it was with babies, because babies won't back talk me.
That is true. Or question your life decisions, or try you in front of you. Now they'll try your ass, but not like a fucking
right.
Okay, that one was tame. Okay, you go ahead. I
got a gnarly one. Which one of you wants a gnarly question?
Hell yeah.
You want the gnarly? Okay, I'm gonna give Amanda the gnarly one and let TJ prep. Amanda, I saw this one when I was looking up Would You Rather stuff before, and it just made me tingle. So, Amanda, would you rather pull your own thumbnail off with a fork or put a toothpick under your big toe and kick a wall?
I would rather peel off my thumbnail with a fork, because my feet, my hands are like, I literally even messaged y'all in the group chat before we started filming.
Oh, that's right, you bit your finger.
I bit my fucking acrylic, bitch. I was munching on a french fry and I cracked my acrylic. I still got 3 weeks with these nails on. I have half a mind to go to the salon after work and be like, can y'all just fix my thumb? and they'll be like, "Girl, what'd you do?" "Bitch, I bit my thumb." My feet are way more sensitive than my fucking hands. So, like, bitch, no. It's a no for me. I'll just rip that shit off with a fork and get it over with. All
Ugh.
right. Okay, I guess I'll ask TJ one. TJ, would you rather have Chris Redfield fuck you as a one night stand, or like you guys never talk again? You like text him and he just ghosts you. Or would you rather fuck um would you rather fuck Nicki Minaj and you guys be like a thing? You're like her side chick or whatever.
This is hard. Because like I can only imagine like when we're having sex, we're like, and she's like, raw, Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know, because she's gonna have like multiple personalities in bed. Like, you know.
I don't know. I feel like her ass be clapping too loud for you to hear anything.
Yeah, how would you even get your dick? Like, is it like cement? Like, what's the texture of it? Like, would it smash your dick if you didn't? Like, there's so many questions. But I don't think my mental health could take a one night stand with a really hot person like Chris Redfield, because I'd be like, what did I do wrong? What?
Or you
Did I
just
smell
accept it?
weird?
No, I'll do the Chris Redfield one because I'll just stalk his ass until he decides he wants to. There you go.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, your turn, TJ.
Amanda,
Yes.
would you rather have $20 million
Okay.
stipulation?
Okay.
You had to leave your life behind. That includes everyone you know and all of your memories.
Oh no. Okay.
But you get to have, if you choose the $20 million, you get to live essentially carefree.
Okay. What's the other choice?
Or would you rather just be poor forever, but you have your memories and family?
Damn.
I think
Okay,
about this every
so
day.
I would rather be poor and have my family and memories, because honestly, my life isn't that bad. And what I've learned from playing Sims, you get bored a lot faster when all your needs are taken care of and you have everything, given to you right away. So,
Okay.
that's my analogy. So I'd rather have my wonderful friends, my wonderful family, and my wonderful husband and be a broke ass bitch than be rich and just be alone. Because that's
Well, you wouldn't
terrible.
necessarily be alone, I guess, if you're rich. But you'd have a lot of people around you that probably didn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, that were sussy. So yeah, I can't, no, I
Yeah.
can't live my life like that. I can't.
Speaking
So,
of
yeah,
Nicki
that's
Minaj
my-
earlier, and this kind of
Yeah.
diverges off what we're talking, but it kind of doesn't, because it was talking about how like when Nicki Minaj got really famous, and she had
Yeah.
all of her family member and everybody, even people she didn't even know that were in her family, like coming up to her trying to get money off her. That's all she wanted. That's
Yes.
all they wanted. So
It's like
yeah,
lottery winners.
yeah. It's like,
lottery
hi, I'm
winner.
your long lost great 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 grandfather.
I mean,
It's
people be
like,
trying to murder you. It happens.
Literally, people get murdered over lottery winnings all the time. Like, it's a phenomenon. Like, bro, if I won the lottery, I would go to work the next day. Like, I would act like, I think, I forget which state it is, but you can claim your winnings, but anonymously.
Yes. I'd be
yeah.
like putting on that mask in any picture they took of that last woman who won, and they just posted her immediately. I'd be so pissed.
Bro, really? I mean, honestly, like, I would, like, create, like, a false Reddit thread and just, like, frame some person I hated and then, like, I won the lottery. Ha, ha, ha.
Okay, so maybe money isn't everything.
It really isn't. Like, I've never had real tangible money, but ever since I've lived a middle class enough life to understand that, like, money really is not everything. Like, all my friends that I knew that had money, and their parents had, like, real tangible money. I'm talking, like, familial wealth money, people who hadn't worked in, like, generations or whatever. they were fucking miserable, and they were miserable to be around. So I'm just personally like, I know it's not, there are some situations I wouldn't be in if I did have money, but I also thank God, because I feel like that saying, more money, more problems, is so real.
Yeah,
Fair.
I can see it. I can see
But
it.
I think there was a study done that like happiness, like money only buys happiness up to $100,000.
Yeah,
So
I think it's up to where your needs are met, and once your needs are met, anything past that doesn't really do anything for you.
that is so fair. I mean, it's understandable. Like, if you can afford to go to the dentist and afford to go to the hospital and stuff like that, I feel like that, that's financial wealth to me,
Yeah,
is like being able to afford medical bills and shit.
especially in
True.
America.
Yeah,
For
especially
our listeners not in America, we live in America. Healthcare sucks.
It sucks. Don't come here. You'll hate it. Literally, I fucking live here and I hate it. Bro, you're confused. I'm fucking confused. JK, if the FBI agent is listening, I don't want to be deported because I bought a fucking house here. But
You can't
I'm
deport
happy
me. I'm a
about owning house
citizen.
here. I'm a fucking citizen. I don't know how long my people have been here. Long enough. Too long. But anyway, let's get into the subject. It is now 11 minutes in, and Amanda is
Wait, I have a question I want to ask though.
yes,
Can I ask both of you? I need both
of
of your
course.
choices since we're in the
Oh,
end
yeah.
here. This is just one that, is one for the anxiety peoples. So for both of you, would you rather poop in the only toilet at a party knowing that you'll be the one to clog it, or are you going to go poop in the bushes in the backyard and just hope nobody
I'd rather
sees
just
you?
shit in my pants.
That's not an option.
Why?
You either get to
can't
poop
go
in the
home.
backyard or you have to clog the toilet and, be afraid
I ain't
someone's
gonna
going to
do
find out.
either one. I ain't gonna do either one. I'd rather just
I
That's why,
either
that's why you
hold it
can't play
in.
the game, because you don't pick.
I'd rather just
I
hold it in,
literally-
or
Oh my god.
You can be like the girl
Nah,
that tries
this
to
is
throw it
like
out
a
the window and it
diarrhea
gets stuck
poop.
between the
This is-
window.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I hate that.
That is a
story.
fear of mine. That's why we don't do that.
So I've been to enough house parties that if I disappeared to go shit in the bushes, nobody would fucking notice. And nobody would care. So I'm going to shit in the bushes because they would know, and I would be ragged on the entire night if I shatted in the only bathroom and clogged that shit, because I guarantee you they do not have a plunger in the bathroom.
Right? That's the fear, is we don't have plungers in the work bathroom too. And so that's one of my fears for this
No.
fear episode is I'm like, what if one day I get fucking sick and there's no plungers in here? Because I've seen it happen in there a few times. I don't remember if I told you, where someone like blew up the toilet and just left it. And I was like, I would be so embarrassed. I hope nobody thinks this is me when I walk out of here.
Oh my god! I'm like, I remember texting you and being like, did anybody see you like walk into the bathroom? And then, okay, run out that bitch. Run out of it. I've been there, bitch. Like, I have been there.
All right, TJ, you have to pick though.
You have to pick, bitch.
This is not a would you rather and something extra. It's either
Right.
or.
We're playing this like big kids, like fucking adults.
I mean, I'm gonna fuck this. I'll just go in the fucking cloud bathroom. I don't give a fuck. Y'all can think whatever you want to think. The point is, y'all gonna think whatever you want to think anyway. So at least I'll have toilet paper to wipe my ass.
Fair point.
Very fair point. Okay, fair point.
Well, I mean, they gonna judge you either way. Like, if they see you out there squatting down, taking a shit in the fucking bushes, what the fuck you think they gonna think, bitch?
At a party, you can pass it off, be like, "Hi, I'm so fucking wasted. Hi. I thought this was a bathroom." I guess we'll continue on the would you rather, because this is actually getting kind of fun. But yeah,
I was segueing to fears for you. My pooping fear of someone
You're
knowing I
pooping,
clogged the
okay.
bathroom.
Well, then we can segue. We can always switch back and forth.
Yeah.
It's my show. It's my fucking show. The Amanda Show. Oh my god! So shout out to my barista at Starbucks. She listens to this podcast, and she told me, she was like, I tried looking it up, and I totally thought it was the Amanda Show for some reason. And I was like, it's the Shady Ho Show. And she's like, bet I'm gonna watch it. And she's so sweet. She is so sweet. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna start off with how have y'all's fears, like, can you guys remember what your deepest, darkest fear was as a child? Like, I'm talking like elementary school, like maybe like fifth grade, like you're starting to understand what the world is, but you're still innocent enough that you really don't fucking know. Like, do you guys remember any kind of like anxiety towards certain things, or like you had this one fucking thing? So my irrational fear in the fifth grade was West Nile virus. In the fifth grade, West Nile virus was like a thing. Okay, it was like on all over the news reports, and I was convinced that I was gonna get West Nile virus and I was going to die. So I would not go outside for the whole summer. Like, they had to drag me outside in the middle of a Georgia fucking summer at church camp of all places. So imagine country ass, bum ass, swamp ass fucking summer camp, and Jesus is there, and I won't go outside because I'm scared of catching West Nile.
Fair. I remember West Nile when it was a thing.
That is
You know, like the
something.
mosquitoes are gonna get you.
Yeah,
What about
but,
yours,
like,
TJ?
crickets.
TJ has no fears, apparently.
I guess not. It must be nice to be a man.
I can't hear y'all. Sorry.
Bruh.
Blocking out the haters.
Wait,
I'm
no,
asking you
for real.
what-
Like, both of y'all went out at the same time. I'm gonna cut this
Well,
part
that was-
out just so I remind myself. But I couldn't. It's like y'all started breaking up, and then all of a sudden I couldn't hear anything.
Well, it's your turn now. What's your childhood first fear you remember?
Being abandoned by my parents.
Oh my god, can you elaborate, please?
He's adopted Amanda! No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, really?
Yes, I was adopted.
No, I literally. Why did I? Anyway, you were adopted. I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
I mean, we wanted to bring up our trauma, so here's my trauma.
I didn't know. Okay. How young were you when you were adopted? Were you adopted as a baby or a toddler?
As a toddler.
You're a toddler? Do you
Well,
remember?
not even
like,
not even a toddler. I guess kind of a baby.
you were a crawler, so you were under a year old, but also like not newborn. You weren't fresh out the womb.
Nope. So yeah, that's me. I was afraid of being abandoned, which I never was, of course, but that was
Yeah.
my irrational fear.
Understandable trauma.
That's a valid fucking fear, dude. I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry that that's terrible.
Well, I'm not gonna. I mean, we wanted to know what our deepest, darkest fear is. I'm not gonna lie and be like, my fear was that I'd never be able to buy a coloring book. No. If you want to know what my deepest, darkest fear is, my deepest, darkest fear is I thought I would be abandoned by my parents and I would have no life. Okay, moving on.
Fair.
Okay, so I'm gonna change my deepest, darkest fear then. You know what's fucking crazy? So I would always go to the grocery store with my mom because I thought the one time I didn't go to the grocery store, she would die in a terrible accident. And all I would think about was how she died and how I didn't go to the grocery store with her. And her last memory of me is not going to the grocery store because I was a bad daughter and I didn't love her enough. And then when I was 17, my mom fucking died randomly. So that fucked me up for the rest of my life. I'm sorry, this is not the struggle Olympics. But if we're being real here, my worst fear came true. All right, Grace, it's your turn now.
It's hard to think about, like, not again. I say it's hard to think of like an early fear, because we were like really poor growing up, so like there was a lot of things that I just wasn't aware of in the world anyway. Because we went to church and came home. I remember trying to think of what the first fear. Because like I had a relatively decent childhood. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. And we were relatively sheltered. We didn't have TV, so I couldn't really watch anything on the TV unless it was like PBS, and PBS was very friendly for children.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get exposed to like any dark fears at a young age. My imaginary friend was a ghost. I don't know where that came from.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well, I called him Ghosty, and he would just chill with me.
I love that.
That was my imaginary friend. But the first like Fear, I remember around that age, was a weird dream that I would have. It was like a recurring dream. I don't
Yeah.
remember if I like, but it wasn't even like a scary dream. It was this dream with a goblin and a princess, and there was a wall that always separated them, and he wanted to come through the wall because he was in love with the princess, and he scared the shit out of me, and I
Oh
would
my
just get
god.
like cold chills thinking about this goblin man as a child.
Oh my
Like when
god.
my dad would take us to go to my mom's work, so we'd have to go sit at her work for like 2 hours before school
Yeah.
so she could take us. And I would just sit there after I've had this dream and like fear that. But
Oh
I
my
have
god.
a very weird grief response with fear where I just don't process it and therefore I don't
Yeah.
think about it. Like when my mom had her aneurysm in middle school, I
Oh my
just
god.
didn't process that. I just
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't have fears I think that are normal. I have like fear
Yeah.
of open water, which I think is normal, but like realistic fears, I think I just have a lot of really like unrealistic this probably isn't going to happen fears because I don't process normal fear correctly and I'm not sure why. Cuz even when my grandpa died when I was like in 5th grade, I
Yeah.
remember him dying and because we were leaving to go on vacation and then my mom like gets a phone call and there's like all this stuff going on and she's like your grandpa died and I just remember sitting there being like okay, like having no concept of what that actually was. So
Right.
I don't remember. I remember like events in my childhood, but nothing like really fear wise
Fear
aside from the
based.
weird goblin man.
The weird goblin man. I am so. I mean, that's understandable. Like, I feel like, and let's normalize not having fucking like trauma responses. Like, I think that's totally okay. Like, I think that maybe should be what childhood is about. Not every child should have to worry about adult things, unfortunately. And that's what I'm, as a like daycare teacher, I'm always scared that my students are going to have the same fear and anxieties I have
Mhm.
and have had, and the kind of upbringing I had, and I'm like terrified for them. And I think it's like, you want to protect them from everything, but how are they going to learn if they, don't go through it themselves? So it's
I think
difficult.
it's harder now. Like say because I'll be 32 next month, so my childhood was like in the early 90s when we didn't really have like the internet and the social media and
Yeah.
things that we could like go onto on our own as children. And we didn't really have like as like a much with the TV. TV wasn't as easily accessible then either. So I think being sheltered from a lot of stuff at a young age, in a sense, helped like with development because I wasn't
Yeah.
exposed to everything too early. So I think I did still get to have a really good childhood, even with us, being poor. My parents, didn't let us know we were poor, something we figured out much later on,
Right.
So I think overall I did have like a good childhood. My fears, I think, all my traumas, I think, came from when my mom got sick in middle school, and
Yeah.
then like things kind of like were me not knowing how to process that, and then I think that's a lot like where my anxieties and things started that I still have, and moving on from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, that is so true. Like, I mean, that's an integral part of your development, and that like it sucks because I can remember like most of my like real life anxieties and how I interact with people were developed in middle and high school too. So those are like, I think people think you're already developed by middle and high school, but it's like no, those are really integral pieces of your personality as an adult.
Oh
And
yeah, like you don't really stop developing, like at least your brain doesn't till you're like in your 20s. So like
right.
you're still coming to grips with who you are as a person and how you're developing and how you process things. And then I think it like when you have traumatic events and no one's there to like really walk you through how to do it, it does shape how you continue to grow from that point.
Absolutely. Like I agree with that. Like my early 20s, 25. My like 19 through 24 was really shaped by me floundering through my adult life, and I have a lot of irrational and like knee jerk reactions now because of some of the shit I went through and I shouldn't have gone through
Yeah.
um during those times. Like literally, like sometimes I feel like half of my trouble would have not even happened if I had had a mother figure in that part of my life. But I can't dwell on it. Like, that happened to me for a reason. So I hate, like, I know a lot of people are like, that's toxic of you to think of it like that. But I'm like, if I literally don't think it like that, I will actually kill myself. So can you guys please let me have this moment? And, yeah, so let's go to irrational fears. That's enough talk about trauma. Um, trauma. Meh. We are literally talking about how the babies in my classroom were mean girls. And because they're little bitches. I'm like, damn. I'm like, fuck, you just stabbed Caesar. Like, they be fucking gaying up on each other and beating the shit out of each other. And I'll be like trying to warm up a bottle. Like, people think babies are cute and shit, but no, bro. Like, have you ever had a bunch of kittens in one room? That's exactly what it's like with human babies. They just beat the shit out of each other.
Babies be brawling.
They
Grace, is that
literally.
why you don't want kids?
I don't want kids because I was a teacher in an elementary school. It wasn't the babies because they're always like, babies are the best form of birth control. And I was like, fuck that shit. I love the way babies' heads smell. But then,
And
like,
they are the easiest age, I will say. Babies are easy.
and you're like,
Okay?
oh yeah, this is fine. I can just snuggle this.
It's when they get out of
sleep.
baby age.
You
Then
don't. Then they start walking and start learning how to talk, and they're like throwing shit at you and like yelling back at you, and you're like, okay, this is the point where we're not doing this. I'm not
Yeah.
bringing this into my house.
Literally, I'm like, people have you like on purpose. Like, people have multiple babies on purpose. Is what I like. What the
Like,
Yeah.
that's a big reason of me being like pro-choice is because I've worked with so many children over the course of my brief teaching career that I did have, where no one should have to have that in their house if they don't want to have it, because that is hard, and it takes a special person to have the patience and the want to have that at their house and still try to live a life outside of it, because then there's no peace when you go home.
No fucking peace. Like, at first, like when I first started working in daycare, I would literally like judge parents. I'm like, bro, you out here in the parking lot, like I can see you, like. And then, like, after working with kids, I'm like, I understand, like, unfortunately I have to clean my classroom, so I'm gonna need you to get the hell up out of here. But I understand. And it's like, I don't think people really, I feel like there should be some kind of test to take before people have kids. Like, I know that's like totally dystopian, but it's just a thought. Like, it's like, how actually prepared are you for like this child? Like, because I've seen some doozies on parenting, and I'm like, damn, they just let anybody walk out the hospital with a baby, huh? Like,
I think that's again like, this is me getting political again. That's a country issue because we don't teach about birth control and safe sex in a manner that is actually helpful to teenagers. So then we have a lot of these young babies coming out because people don't know what that means. Like, there is still. I'm from Georgia, from a smaller town in Georgia than where I live now, and we didn't have like a real sex education class. All they taught us was you're gonna have sex, get STDs, you'll get pregnant, and then that's like literally all they told us. There was so much I didn't know about my body, even like after I got married, and my husband had to explain these things to me because they do not teach it to you. And I'm not ashamed to say this.
Wait, what did they have? What did he have to teach you?
There's parts like about like anatomy, what things do, way things work, like within men's bodies and like women's bodies. I'm like, hey, what is this like? What's the function of this in the body? Like, when this
I'm sitting here thinking like, you're asking him like, what's that between your legs? Well, this is a penis.
Now I know what a penis was, but I'm like, just
that's a vagina.
Because I'm like, hey, what's the purpose of this point? Like, I had to go look up for myself, like as an adult, like when you're living on your own and you're like, oh, I might have like a UTI. Let me go look up like what this is. How did this happen? Because they don't teach you anything like useful in your health classes if you live in Georgia or anywhere in the South. So you have to go look all these things up so you don't feel like you're an idiot. But yeah, so piggyback on that, because they don't teach really anything about sexual health in a meaningful way. People have babies, they don't know what to do with them. There's no solid system in place for people to raise their children because we don't have maternity leave or paternity leave. So people are already trying to find somewhere to put their child if they can't afford daycare because we don't have real affordable, consistent daycare for poor people who have babies they didn't mean to have because they couldn't get abortions or any like our system for babies is not good because we have like no one wants to help support once you have the baby. They just force you to have the baby. Then it's hard for you to feed the baby and clothe the baby and take care of the baby and yourself if you're young and still developing. So I think our whole outlook as a country on that is warped and needs to be fixed if we want to have like a healthy growth for the future. And soapbox rant.
And here's my soapbox. If we're going to talk about fears, UTIs, and just all around just disturbing shit that I think, let's talk about nursing homes. And the terror and shit that goes there.
Oh my God. So we have a rehabilitation and okay, so I just want to preface my grandmother, bless her heart, she passed away 2 years ago. Literally, I'm sorry. We went to a rehabilitation center that renewed my faith in like the nursing system. But I had like heard horror stories of like what happens in nursing homes. They are grossly understaffed and then staffed with the wrong people. But yeah.
Yeah. So my grandmother, she died in a nursing home because the nursing home failed to call my mother and me. They decided they wanted to escort my grandmother, to the hospital. My grandmother could not hear. They knew that she was deaf and could not hear.
Oh my God.
So they just went in, they grabbed her, they strapped her to a roller bed to get to the ambulance. She didn't know what was going on. She didn't know how to get in contact with us. They wouldn't let her get in contact with us. She had a heart attack and she died.
Oh my God. That has got to be that is so fucked up. Like, how terrified. Like, how.
And then the nursing home didn't call us and tell us about it.
So how did you find out she passed?
We went to the nursing home to see her.
Oh, no. Are you fucking kidding me? And they were just like, oh, she's dead.
They pretty much said, oh, well, she was in the hospital. She didn't die. She died basically, essentially, I say she died. She was on the verge of dying. She was at the hospital when we found her. They say she's at the hospital. But she had basically had like a heart attack at the nursing home. And then she passed away not too long at the hospital. Going into, that's why I told my mother I would never put her in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Thus being, after she got into COVID, my mother is disabled, okay, of no fault of her own. But we won't get into that. But I will say she was disabled. When she had COVID, we didn't think she was going to make it. Thank the Lord she did make it. But she had to go into a nursing home to get rehabilitation to get her strength back up. Some of the shit that I saw, they would pinch her, grab her. Now, I mean, my mother is not at the state to where if you were to like push her, she would fall over. She's not a 20-year-old, okay? Like, she's not a 20-year-old. Now, I'm not saying that she's like just some frail old woman. That's not the case, okay? Like, she can stand up for herself, but she's not like a 20-year-old, okay? She's not going to be like someone that can like fucking face punch you, okay? So some of the shit that I've seen, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that I had to tell them that I had to tell the nursing home to do a UTI on her because they didn't know. They told me that, well, she came from the hospital confused, so we just assumed that it was just that. So our healthcare is ridiculously awful here. Hospitals and nursing homes. Y'all should be fucking ashamed of yourselves.
And again, like, I think it's also like it's the system. The system doesn't have enough support or check-ins for what they need to do. Because my grandma, she lived in a nursing home. Both my other grandma lived in an assisted living home, and I think assisted living is like the most, if you have to put your relative somewhere where they can have medical care that you're not able to give, I like that idea because they get to have their own space, their own room by themselves. I don't like that nursing homes have people sharing rooms because I feel like that takes away some of your dignity. Like,
Yeah.
because you're just stuck in an open room with someone else that you like a roommate, like you're back in a dorm or something. And I
Well,
don't
it's not
feel like
only
Right.
that.
that. It's not only that, but like when my mother was in, she had her own room.
Mhm.
But the woman that was literally across from her in the other room would play fucking show tunes at the fucking at 1 a.m. and it would be so goddamn loud you could hear it from the other end of the hall.
No fucking way.
Yeah, because
Oh
I
my
mean, there should
god.
still be like rules for that, like an apartment complex in a sense. Like and because I feel like a lot of also nursing homes, especially the ones that I've been in and out of, because I've had lots of family members in them. My mom was in a rehab facility as well with her roommate after she had her heart attack and all that. And I don't know, they never feel clean to me. They feel overly sterile and overly dirty both at the same time to me. Like whenever I go into one, because they don't
Yes,
feel
it's
like a
like they
place where people
Lysol.
actually
Well,
live. It just
it
feels like
and
a
it
weird
is. It is.
limbo medical center.
And then the fact that they you have to hit the button if you have to use the bathroom, right? If you can't
Yeah.
legit get up yourself to go use the bathroom, which my mom cannot walk. That's
Hmm.
the whole purpose. And they're like, okay, well, she'll just have to use the bathroom in her, her pull-ups, and we'll
Bruh.
change it as soon as we can. And as soon as they can to them means an hour or so later.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
No, because I think that again goes like with the extreme, like the loss of your dignity as an adult. Like, because even if you're disabled, like my mom is as well. She has the prosthetic. She couldn't walk while waiting on her prosthetic, and after her heart attack and all that. So, kind of like the same thing. But I feel like the minute that you take like autonomy away from someone who has had it their whole life, especially if they're already in like a lower health state, that it just declines even more rapidly when you make them have to sit there and like soil themselves like a child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the spirit,
Yeah.
once that saying, once the spirit dies, the body follows suit. So, that's kind of how it is in those nursing homes. Like, you can take a perfectly healthy person, and once you put them in a nursing home, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And then they drug them. They drug them
Yeah.
and then they make them think that, oh, well, it's just in your head. All I have to say is if you work in a nursing home, if you're not doing it because you love helping people, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Agreed. I think
Same
certain
goes for
people.
hospital. Same goes for
Yep.
hospitals. If you are a nurse and you're just doing it for the quote unquote money, you should be ashamed of yourself because treating people like shit is not cool.
Agreed. Agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Having gone in and out of hospitals, because again, my mom has been sick multiple times since she had her aneurysm in middle school up until now. We have been in and out of a bunch of hospitals for different things, and you can always tell like if someone genuinely wants to be there, whereas if someone's just there to collect their paycheck for their shift.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just a very heated debate with me because
I
I've
think
ran
it's a
into
valid
so
one.
many. Like throughout the last couple of years, my mother has been in the hospital a lot, and I shouldn't say a lot, but more than she ever has in her life happened
Yeah.
with her
Yeah.
because she's always been healthy. She's never had to, but then things happen, emergencies happen to where she had to go, and you really got to look inside. Like these stupid fucking nurses, some of them. I remember being on the fucking phone with her. I was on FaceTime with my mother because she was waiting for over an hour just to get a drink of water after she came out of surgery.
Yeah.
And she waited and waited. And then when the nurse came in there, she got mad saying, well, you ain't the only one I gotta fucking help.
Well, ma'am, like
And then
we
she said, I
understand
got
that,
other people I got to help too. So what makes you so special? And my mother said,
ma'am.
all I wanted was a glass of water. And she said, I've waited for over an hour. And this is also, she couldn't adjust her pillow because she had very specific instructions from her doctor because she had spinal surgery and also they cut like right in the back of her neck. So she had
Yeah.
very specific positions she had to lay on. It wasn't because she chose to, but she had to. So yeah, and the nurse didn't think I heard that, but I did because I recorded it
Mhm.
and I took it to the hospital. So that's what I'm saying. If you're a nurse and you have legit reasons that you want to help people, I commend you for that. But if you're like the nurse that I just mentioned, you don't need to be there. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on from a less depressing topic. If y'all are still listening, I'm sorry. This has turned out to be a very depressing, dark episode. But I mean, as depressing as your life may be, it'll get better, maybe.
Yeah, real discussion. So someone else may have been thinking that, and maybe you validated what they were thinking if they're going through it. So that's an important thing.
Well, this is the thing. This is nursing homes do this shit. They do this shit a lot. They drug your family members to make them go to sleep, so they don't have to worry with them. So make sure you watch out for that. And then the nursing homes go and they bring you in there and they tell you that you don't know how to look after your mother because you're quote unquote a kid. I was told I was a kid. I said, the fuck am I? So I'm 32
How
years
old were you
old.
then? Yep, I was like, you were like 30 something.
My God.
And I told him, because the lady that was like in charge of like the insurance and everything for everybody there, she was like, we need to bring this guy in. And I didn't know who he was. He was just a little fucking dweeb dickhead. His head was literally shaped like a fucking tiny penis.
Tiny penis.
And because they were trying to convince my mom to stay there longer, but she wanted to go home. And I was trying to get her out. But they wouldn't let her go because they didn't have, at the time she was on a feeding tube because she couldn't eat properly. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, you don't know how to take care of her. And I said, the fuck I don't. I said, were you at the house with me for the last 2 years taking care of her? Well, you don't know what medications. And I said, the fuck I don't. And I read out to him every single medication, what time, what dosage, and when it needed to be taken. And I said, did you know that she took this? Well, we have it on lists. And I said, well, I have it in my fucking head, so fuck you. So, anyway. So just because you have the title of working at a nursing home doesn't mean that you deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Healthcare is a fear. I fear getting sick just because of, always because of the way the healthcare is in America, because you have no guarantee that you're going to even get listened to, much less that, because this has happened to my husband twice. Once when he was having severe ankle issues where like he couldn't even walk because his ankle was bothering him that much. And we went to the ER and they gave him an x-ray and said, oh, we don't know what's wrong. Here, go get some medicine. So that was the first time we went and spent, I think, $1,500, $1,500 for them to tell us, because he didn't have health insurance at that time because we had just moved and we were working on getting, him a new job over here. And they were like, yeah, we don't know what's wrong. Here's a bill. And
God.
Earlier I think it was last week now, my husband has been sick almost 2 weeks. So we finally went to urgent care. Same thing. They tested him for COVID, and when it wasn't COVID, the doctor said, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm going to give you an antibiotic anyway.
Oh my God.
And that was it. So, I mean, I understand people go to medical school and things like that, but I still have a fear of the health system because I don't feel like he wasn't checked for anything like flu or anything like that. They only checked him for COVID, and when it wasn't COVID, they said, we don't know. So I have fears of if I ever got seriously like sick of going to the doctor, because I feel like I would end up getting tossed around. Or also, like, that's another fear of my fear of having children is I have a fear of having the baby because I'm like, there's such a high mortality rate in America when we're not, when we're a developed country. I would probably have more luck just sitting in a bathtub in my, in my house doing a water birth.
House. That's
oh God,
what
yes.
That's how I feel, because like me and my husband Colin wants kids. The more that I think about it and the more I work in childcare, I'm like,
the more you don't want them anymore.
I mean, basically, because my coworkers are telling me all these fucking stories, and like, not to spread tea, but I had somebody very close to me lose their baby at 5 months in their womb, and they still had to give birth. They still had to give birth. They had to push that baby out dead, knowing it's dead, and having just to hold that baby in their arms and, just, I don't know if I could go through that. And to me, she is the strongest person I've ever met, because of that.
And I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but I also wondered this about a lot of people. I'm not saying this is in reference to you at all, but I wonder why a lot of people don't consider adoption. I mean, if you don't want to give birth, or if you don't want to, worry about those kind of things, why don't people just consider adoption? There are so many
Oh,
kids
that's
out there,
The
you know.
process, from what I've heard, the process to try to
it's
get approved in
so
the waiting list and the
fucking
cost that you have to
expensive.
drop makes, I
Okay,
know, for a lot of
so
like poor
And then your
poor people.
adoption might not even go through. Like, that's the thing. Like, your adoption might not even go through you. So imagine this: you spent $20,000 on, adopting this child, this beautiful, wonderful child you guys have adopted. I mean, you guys have bonded.
okay,
You guys, visited them, and all of a sudden, the biological parent wants their parental rights back. Now, certain courts will grant that no shit parent custody before they do the loving non-biological parent, just because they're that biological parent, you know and
I got really lucky, I guess, on my end because y'all, I will agree. Adoption process is a bitch. My mother has told me the adoption process was an absolute bitch, and not only was it a bitch, but I mean, she wasn't doing, in the states adoption.
oh
She
Yeah.
was
yeah.
doing international adoption in the process. Um, so, yeah, I know it could definitely be, um, it could be a bitch. I definitely understand.
And
Um,
also, people, I'm so sorry. It just got me thinking, people, what I hate, there's so much pressure to have your own. People say, oh, there's nothing like having your own. There's nothing
I
like
hate
having your
that.
own.
Yes, because they're just like, well, why don't you consider adoption? Well, they won't really be mine. It's like,
I'm like, the
hello,
fuck?
like,
Hello? It
okay, so
pisses
it
me
doesn't
off.
have your own fucking blood in them. Okay, I guess. So fucking what? Like, I don't understand. That's me, and of course, I am a gay man. So if I ever decide to have kids, it would have to be through adoption, or if I wanted to have my quote unquote own blood, I guess I would have to inseminate somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
We already talked about having Grace do it, even though in this episode she's pretty much talked how she didn't want to do it. But we made an
Part of the
agreement.
reason.
We made our
We made a
agreement.
agreement like 10 years ago.
I don't
And
care. That part still
also,
stands. Anyway, but yeah, like adoption. You know what? You kind of know what you're getting into. It's a bitch process, but everything's a bitch process. Going into labor for however long and then having to
oh
push the bitch
God.
out of you is just as much as a labor as having to fill out paperwork.
I know that's right, because I felt the same way. I was like, I really want to adopt. I feel like there are so many, because I have health issues that I'm not sure that if I got pregnant, if I was lucky and blessed enough to get pregnant, I don't think I could carry a child full term. And that's just the thing of it. So it hurts me when I talk about adopting, and everybody, family, and they just kind of say it because they're like, God will provide a way for you to physically have a child. And I said, that's not the reality for some people. Please stop telling me that I am going to have a child biologically, and that I should just wait on God. And it's like,
Yeah,
I
see,
get
I
that.
hate that because that's
I'm like,
so
I
just
might
that is
not.
old thinking. That is such old thinking that you have to have, like, we're getting into fucking Game of Thrones thinking here. We have
Right.
to have
Like,
we have to have a blood,
air or
somebody in blood
whatever.
heir. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thinking that I think of when that shit happens. It's like, come
I'm like, that is
on.
disgusting. I'm like, I
Look at
hate when
Angelina
people say,
Jolie. Look how many fucking kids she has, and how many
they're
has she
up
actually
there
pushed out of
happy.
her fucking cooch? How many has she actually biologically pushed out?
Honestly, couldn't tell you, but
And look at Thomas Rhett. I bring him up because I see pictures of his kids. He has a couple biological kids, but a lot of the other ones has been adopted.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it just pisses me off. Like, people are so stupid. Like, they're so quick to be like, they're so quick to put their own opinion on you, and it's like it always pisses me off when people don't listen. It's like literally you say something and then you can feel it glaze over for just a second, and it's like you already know they did not listen to what you said, and they just talk, like they just literally talk. It's like they didn't absorb at all what you were saying. Do you guys ever like witness that? That is one way that pisses me off. Yeah.
I get mad because it's like, do you know who you're talking to?
I'm like, do you not know what empathy is? I'm literally like, okay, have you not had a self-centered thought for once? And like, have you,
I'm gonna call these people out because as a small white woman, I get a majority from older white men and rich older white ladies.
Oh, and that's another thing with Grace. This is not even necessary. I'm not picking on your height by no means. Because you're not even really that short. Okay, that's the thing. You're not that short.
You really aren't.
But I mean, you're also not 6 foot tall. You know what I mean? Like you're in the middle. Okay. But my thing, it would scare me to be a shorter-ish. I don't know how to say that without sounding rude, but it's not meaning to be rude. Shorter person, and you're also very kind of frail. Like, it would just scare me.
That girl not frail, she's sturdy.
I don't know. Like,
I'm a 4'11", 150-pound woman.
See, you're 4'11", for God's sake.
Yes, I do get that from people, who are like, oh, look at this child. And I'm like, no, I'm a grown married woman.
People are so condescending to you for what? I'm like, for what?
You're still getting carded, aren't you?
I haven't.
You go to see like
Christopher, and Christopher obviously looks like he's old enough, but if I go by myself, yes.
Bro, ma'am, you want to see Deadpool? I'm afraid I'm gonna have to see your ID for this one because it's a rated R movie.
That happened more when I was working at the museum, like when I had stopped teaching and I went to the museum, like as my, I guess what I call my interim to where I am now. But that's when I would get people walking in, like older, white people asking me, oh, are you in school? Oh, are you hoping to become an interpreter? It usually happened at the Owens Thomas house. What are you hoping to do with your life? And I'm like, ma'am, I am already a college graduate and I have already worked what you would consider a career and I didn't like it. So now I'm just doing a thing. So it's always like the assumption, oh, you must want to do something else. Like, oh, these people are obviously better than what you are right now. And I'm like, ma'am, I too am a college graduate.
That's how I hate when people assume shit. Like, I've had people assume I was 30 since I was 17. And they're like, how the fuck can you be so fat? Oh, without having kids. People think I'm this fat because I have kids. I'm like, no, I'm just this fat because I like tacos, motherfucker. Like, literally. And then, oh my God, all the time now that I have my wedding bands and I wear my wedding bands regularly, people are shocked that I'm married. And I'm like, they're like, you're married? And as if a fat bitch and fat ugly bitch like me could never be married. I'm like,
no, ma'am, freeze. This is a self-love episode too.
Oh
do not ever call yourself that. Period.
It's just juicy. Like it feels that way. I feel like juicy. I feel like
but you're juicy in a good way. So don't ever call yourself that, and don't ever think that, or I'll smack the shit out of you.
Please
and your 240 fucking missed calls or messages.
Oh my God! I should have put an emoji over that post because I knew, even the makeup artist from my fucking wedding messaged me and said, "Bitch, have you not even tried to go through your messages?" And I was like, "Ma'am, don't clock me."
This isn't even I could understand that if this was a fucking email, but when she posted that and I saw 240.
Oh my God.
I said, the fuck?
Yeah, Amanda's phone stresses
ghosting
me out.
A lot of people, aren't you?
I literally do.
Checking her messages when we were driving to go see TJ, and I was like, everything has notification.
Oh my God.
Amanda be one of these people that just be like, oh, I thought I texted you. Did I not? And she ain't even look at it.
Bitch, you left me on red for 6 days and 7 nights. Like,
See, this is the reason why all three of us communicate through Facebook Messenger, because I can see when that bitch reads it, and if she don't read it, I swear to God, I will call her out. I'm not going to try and text her anymore because I know where it's going to go. Nowhere.
That's so right. And half the time I don't even be saving people's numbers.
Oh my fucking God, bitch! I hate it.
They text me or like they'll call me and I'll be like, who the fuck is this? Because I'm not gonna lie, I got debt collectors, y'all, and I just be I did that to Morgan the other day. She was having a panic attack and she called my ass and I had not saved her number, and so I just went the first ring, I said and she was like, hey, I really need you to go somewhere with me because I'm having a hard time. And I was like, oh bitch, I just fucking said this. I don't know who this bitch is.
Nah, bro. If I ain't got your number saved, I ain't answering it. If it's important, you'll leave me a voicemail.
That's the same with
me in real life. You'll text me.
You'll text me.
I do not be saving people's numbers no more. I don't.
Amanda, you better save my damn number. If you don't,
your number is saved. Your number is saved. I swear. It's saved. I saved Morgan's after that too because I was like, I didn't. Now she will know because she'll watch this podcast. But I was like kind of play it off like, oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally like rejected your call, but bitch, I ain't save your number. Because she messages me over Facebook Messenger, so I was like, well, if she needs to get in touch, like she'll message me over Facebook Messenger. I didn't expect her to call my ass. I was like 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a fucking debt collector.
Here we go, everybody. Welcome to another form of fear. The fear of being forgotten or neglected or ghosted.
Do not be my friend if you're not comfortable with being alone. Being ghosted.
You know, that was one of my fears, I think, before I met Dylan, is I thought that I would never find anyone. Especially being a gay guy, that was really hard. Because, I mean, no offense if you're like me and you're gay, but I'm sure you probably have run into the same situation I have. Gay guys are very picky.
What is up with that? Like, what the fuck is up with that? I never understood that. Like, I'm not trying to sound homophobic, but I'm like, why?
I don't know. Like, you know, most gay guys, they want somebody who's built, no femmes, no trans, only tops or only bottoms or no bears, only otters. And, you know, it's just like, why fucking bother? You know, like, I don't know. But anyway, we are getting 3 minutes into our mark, and homie has got to take a piss like you would not believe. So we're going to go ahead and close this episode out. I'm sorry if we depressed you, but I hope we made you happy during the end, because it's like, it took a slight different turn towards the very end. I'm sorry that I was quiet during this episode too, but this episode kind of got me in my head space of old memories that I didn't want to bring up, that it did bring up. So I'm better now, and my name is Val, and thank you all for watching again, and here's these other bitches.
This is Amanda, and this episode is brought to you by me, and me ruining other people's lives. Hashtag Aries Sun. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you didn't, I don't care. I'm passing it off to Grace.
Hi, it's Grace. I'm gonna tell everybody my big fear is open water, because I'm pretty sure, like I told Amanda, my past life, I died on the Titanic. I am like 98% positive. Somebody who does past lives, let me know how this works.
You know, I guess I kind of conquered one of my biggest fears. My biggest fears was flying in the air. Like, well, of course in the air, but you know what I mean, like heights. I can't do roller coasters. I can't do roller coasters. To this day, I still can't do roller coasters because I will throw up on you. Don't sit near me. But like when me and Dylan, the first time I actually got on a plane that I can remember, because I mean I flew over here, you know, from the adoption and whatnot as a child, as a baby. But you know, my first real memory now of flying was when me and him went to Texas.
Aww.
And I was terrified because you know watching Final Destination doesn't help. And then I was like, And then I remember before,
Still
because
can't
I
drive
was like,
behind log trucks.
I remember before we would go on the trip, like a couple of days before, I didn't tell Grace this, but before we went on the trip, I would watch like fucking airplane takeoff videos and try and see what it was like. And then I would watch, and then my toxic ass mind would be like, airplanes crashing or airplanes exploding in midair, because I wanted to know what I had to deal with if that
I mean, my
happened.
first flight was
You
like
were
that.
fucking
I
crazy.
like almost broke my friend's hand because we were gonna take off, and now that you've done it, TJ, it like you get that initial like it starts to shake a little, and like you feel it start to roll. So I remember like closing my eyes, and my friend's like, "You can hold my hand," and like I'm pretty sure I almost broke that man's bones like in that takeoff.
Well, see, that
I
was
like,
the thing with me, because I remember having squeezing the shit out of Dylan's hand for when we started to take off. But I think what helped me also was I had music playing in the ear,
Oh my god,
a lot too. So I'm trying. Hold on, I'm trying to remember what the name of the song was. It was Just Like Heaven. No, was it Just Like Heaven? Yeah, I think it was Just Like Heaven. The ooh baby, when you just like that, no, heaven is a place on
Heaven
earth.
is
The
a
place
place
on earth. Yeah, I'd really gotten into that because I was watching a lot of Black Mirror, and that episode where the two girls fall in love. They're old. They're older, but in their head they had that little reality chip thing that makes them go to that oasis place where they live together forever. Anyway, that was one of the songs that played in it, and I always associated good memories with that show because I loved it. So I had that song playing in my head as we were taking off, and then once we got in the air, it was just like, okay, well, I guess we're like, we're cool now. We're Gucci. So thank you. Thank you to the singer of that, Having This Place on Earth. I appreciate it.
Yay! All right. Well, that was me telling you my fear. Again, call out mental research past lives. Don't want to figure out how that works. But that's all I've got to say on this one. Bye.
Bye.